Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to take a look at the Microsoft Office applications. Currently, Zapier only connects to Office 365, which is the business level of Microsoft Office in the cloud. The app details indicate that it has triggers, actions, and searches involved. Now, if you do use the business level of Microsoft Office, you'll notice that there are definitely integrations that you might use. However, this application is primarily still under development. One thing that you can do extremely well is to use Microsoft 365 for upcoming events. And that means then that we can take those events and we can have them automatically posted to our WordPress site so that we can write them up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click Use this Zap. And you'll see that this function is primarily for planning an event, one that you will want to write about on your WordPress site. We will not be going through the details of this particular application. If you want to see the steps, all you'll need to do is to click this arrow, and then you'll see the different triggers. However, this is an important app to keep an eye on as Microsoft starts to build out its cloud-based services. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to be discussing WordPress and the integrations that you can use with it. Now there are a number of WordPress integrations that you can use with various different applications inside of Zapier. And you'll notice that WordPress can trigger an activity with 11 different triggers, which again allows for a number of different ways that you can use WordPress and Zapier. But one thing Zapier does well is get content to your WordPress site. And you can do that in zaps such as making WordPress posts from your new tweets. We're going to take a look at this zap right now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click Create this Zap. We're going to then look for a tweet, so we're going to click Continue. We're then going to pick the Twitter account that we're going to be using and click Save and Continue. Once you verify that you have at least one recent tweet created, you're going to click Fetch and Continue. Zapier will let you know that your test is successful. You'll then click Continue. And then we'll want to create the post template. So we'll then click Continue. We will test our WordPress site and then click Save and Continue. So we can then set up the post the way that we want it, using the Twitter information. We can decide on who the authors of these posts are going to be, and then we'll click Continue. Once we have the test information, we'll send the test to WordPress, and then we'll click Finish. Once our Zap is turned on, we can then check our post. And we then see our draft post with the title that we anticipated. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to take a look at PayPal, which is a popular payment and merchant system. And when we select for PayPal and scroll down to the app details, what you'll notice is that PayPal only has triggers, so that something happens on PayPal, we can then have some kind of integration or automation with another application. One thing that PayPal does do is it subscribes individuals to particular lists on certain autoresponder companies with limitations. And that is that you can only do one at a time. However, with Zapier, you can do more than one at a time. So for example, you'll notice here that we have both Aweber and PayPal selected. That means then that when you have a customer that makes a purchase, that customer can be added then to your Aweber list. That customer could also be added, though, to GetResponse and to MailChimp. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a GetResponse contact every time there's a PayPal sale. And in order to do that, we're going to click Use this Zap. We're now going to click Create this Zap. So the trigger in this case will be a successful sale. We'll then click Continue. Now the key to understanding this particular Zap is going to be that we're going to be placing Zapier in the IPN settings inside of PayPal. The limitation that PayPal has is that we can only place one IPN URL in PayPal at a time. If we choose to use the Zapier IPN, that means then that we can use multiple applications with the same sale using PayPal. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to copy this URL to our clipboard, and then we'll need to connect to PayPal. So we're going to place that Zapier information inside of our IPN settings in PayPal and then click Save. Once we've done that, we're going to click Continue. And then we're going to test our PayPal trigger by fetching an existing sale. Our test is then successful, and we'll then click Continue. We're now going to create the action inside of GetResponse. We're going to test the account that we've added. It tests successful. We're now going to click Save and Continue. So we're now going to determine which list they're going to be added to when there is a successful sale. And once we've determined that, we'll then click Continue. We can then send the test to GetResponse. And once we've done that, we'll then click Finish. And now that our Zap is working and our IPN is set, we can then make it so that every sale that happens in PayPal goes to several different autoresponders by setting up different Zaps at this point. The key was setting up the Zapier webhook in the IPN settings. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are now going to take a look at the implications of using QuickBooks Online along with Zapier. Of course, QuickBooks Online is a way of keeping track of your accounting for your business or organization. Because of the complexity of QuickBooks, there are a number of triggers, actions, and searches available in terms of creating automations. Zapier has a number of automations between QuickBooks Online and PayPal. As you can see, there are 5 in our view, as well as for QuickBooks Online and Stripe. And because it's used also as a tracking application, there are also integrations between apps like Salesforce, which provides information on customer management. And for individuals that have client-based business, there are integrations between sites like FreshBooks and QuickBooks, which allow you to provide custom invoices. And finally, there's also an interface between QuickBooks Online and Shopify. So if you're using QuickBooks as your accounting system, what you'll want to do is you'll want to test QuickBooks with other applications that you are using to interface customer and overall profitability. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. In conclusion, you've now seen how to do automations with Zapier with apps resident in its database. Remember, you can start with applications that you are using by typing them in the search bar, then selecting them, and then determining whether or not some of the apps you're currently using can be used for automation. Another way to look at the search is to do so by filtering categories so that we can look at which ones fit within a certain parameter, and they might be applications we might look to attain. Remember that using Zapier, you can scroll down to the very bottom to take a look at the app details to determine whether or not most of the actions are triggers or considered to be actions or searches, and that'll give you some indication as to how many available integrations there are and what nature they can be used to serve your purposes. Remember, we can look at our available Zaps and we can set them in motion at any time by running them, although they run automatically on predicted intervals. You'll also recall that we can connect more than one account on the same platform to use them interchangeably in our Zaps. And finally, if you remember, the goal is to keep you from manually transferring data over and over again between two applications. So even with a free plan, you can always look for available applications to integrate and automate. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you either in another video or in another course.